Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another episode of the Lab Podcast. I am here with Kel, my co-host. I am
Hello.
Cody, if you have not figured that out by now. I think we are just in this weird, delirious point. At least I am. I don't know.
Yes.
So yeah, how's it going, Kel?
It's just going. I feel like I don't know. This has been a weird week. I feel like I've been in a really weird mood. Because I don't know, and I think it sounds like something that you have also felt. It's just I don't know. It's just nothing feels comfortable right now. I think, and you can't feel like you can't relax. So but also super distracted at the same time. It's been weird. It's like living in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it feels really familiar in that it's like, yes, this is what the first Trump term felt like. Only it's worse this time, but
except better.
Always feeling on edge, always feeling like you're not sure what movie he's gonna make next. What he's gonna do to trans rights, or like what new executive order he's gonna sign. And it was just like 4 years of just kind of tense living, of not knowing, lots of uncertainty. At least like when Biden was in office, we knew as trans people that our rights weren't going to be taken away. So we could kind of like relax in that sense, because we knew there was no new laws going in place. And besides some that were not really in Biden's control, but because of Trump, what he did in his previous term. But now it's just like the main topic. Before, it was kind of under the radar a bit still. And then as like Trump's presidency grew, it became more popular. And then thankfully Biden gave us a little 4-year break, but that just made them angrier. But for some reason, it was like all trans people, just trans people.
Some reason, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, what the fuck did we do?
Well, and it's so crazy to think about, because I saw this like graph, and it's like there's not even that many of us. It's like 1 million people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why? No one, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just exhausting, and it feels crazy that it's already like on his first day. It was something that he needed to take care of. And it was just like, really? Half the world is on fire. It snowed in Florida. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. And I don't understand how that's going to help the price of eggs or inflation. Signing executive orders defining gender in a very wrong way. I don't know if you read the... Yeah.
Yes. Well, do we want to go ahead and just jump into it?
Yeah, since we already are, that's basically all we've been thinking about, right?
Right. And so I had the little quote that just the title of this is Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government. It's just like, so like even the title is like so ridiculous and incorrect. And I don't know. Yeah. It's so I have this article pulled up, and it was I saw this really good quote from a doctor, and he said, "There's no easy, simple, straightforward, binary, immutable definition of sex. It simply doesn't exist from the biological standpoint. There are any number of elements that can go into what we think of as sex. For example, chromosomes, gonads, external genitalia, and hormones. But a lot of gender is rooted in the brain." And he kind of goes on to talk about that. And it's just so nutty, because they had this little graph, and it was like, if you think about gender in like a graph based on like the population, it's like two bell curves essentially, right? Because there are people who fall in those middle areas that aren't just trans people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And it's just at the same time, like, what's this doing for you? It's just like people just want to police how other people live. And for no fucking reason. So yeah,
Well, and
it's go
in
for
this
it. Sorry.
article, it all no. In this article, they were also talking about how it's setting up, by the wording of it, it's setting up arguments against abortion and stuff, because it's like defining personhood at conception, essentially. Um, so it could only get worse.
Yeah. And what they don't realize is like actually gender or sex is not determined at conception, you dumb shits. Like it just literally is not.
No,
We all start out female.
right.
And, it depends on which hormones, are released in the womb, where we go from there. And,
Right.
yeah. So really dumb.
But the thing that I get really frustrated by, and is that like how like he signed this bullshit, right? But it doesn't really say what's gonna happen. So like I was trying to look up different places, like what does this actually mean? Does it mean that like they can take our documents back? Because I don't feel like that's possible. Does that mean it's already stopped moving forward? I don't know. Did you find that out anywhere?
I tried to look as well, and it's kind of mixed. But if you put it into like ChatGPT or whatever, it'll give you what I would say would be possibilities. I feel like even ChatGPT would be guessing at this point because we don't know. But do you want me to go over some of the things that it
absolutely
says? So here's what it might mean for trans people, depending on specific policies outlined. So, number one, definitions of gender in federal programs. Federal agencies may be instructed to use biological sex rather than gender identity to determine eligibility for programs, benefits, or protections. This could affect areas like housing, education, sports participation, and healthcare. So, number two, access to gender-affirming care. If the policy addresses healthcare, it could limit access or funding to gender-affirming treatments such as hormone therapy or surgeries, particularly for minors, or federally funded programs like Medicare or Medicaid. Number three, anti-discrimination protections under laws like Title Roman numerals, which
probably Title IX if it's sports.
Title IX and 7, no 12. Fuck, I don't remember what these are. I think it's 5, 6, 7. Title 7, okay. Which cover discrimination in education and employment. Do we still use Roman numerals? Anyways, could shift to exclude protections for transgender individuals if they are no longer recognized as their identified gender under federal law. Number 4, this is where, documentation and identity. Federal identification documents like passports or social security records might revert to requiring designations based on biological sex rather than allowing updates to reflect gender identity. Impact on daily life. Policies like this can affect many aspects of life for transgender individuals, including access to public facilities like bathrooms, equitable treatment in schools or workplaces, and how they are perceived and treated under the law. So basically, this kind of policy could exacerbate stigma, discrimination against trans people, and, sending a message that your gender identity is not recognized or valid in the eyes of the federal government. So that's fun. I think the biggest thing we're wondering is how does it affect people who's already, changed their documents? What I've seen is that it won't, like if you already gotten a passport or something, for example, with, your current gender marker, then it won't be affected until you have to renew it. But hopefully by that time, Trump won't be in office.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but I don't have a passport. So I'm going to work on getting my birth certificate changed. So like when I present it, to get my passport, hopefully there won't be like, how are they going to know if I give them my birth certificate?
That's what I was wondering, because I did get my birth certificate updated and I already had my passport updated. And so I'm like, is it even possible for them to like strip it? Because like from now, like all of my documents line up, kind of, except for my social security office.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I feel like that would take way too much taxpayer money and resources to
Yeah.
go through and strip people of their current ID and then, put it back to their biological sex they would need to like research. But also, is that not a HIPAA violation? Because if it's like a medical issue, like, are they allowed to dig through your medical files and be like, oh, you transition, you're trans, so you got to change it back to biological sex? Like, that doesn't sound legal to me.
That's true.
Nor is it anyone's business. So I don't know.
I don't know, man, but it's fucking scary, and it is wild how quickly it all happened. Well, I guess nothing has happened yet, but
yeah. And essentially it was like in the document itself, it was like, this will be taking place in 30 days from this order. But I feel like there's going to be so many, like, basically what they're saying he's doing right now is just signing a bunch of executive orders to like basically flood and, but there's going to be so many barriers to all the things he's trying to like put in place that what he's actually going to be able to do isn't going to be as significant, but it's still shitty because how are we like the one thing, like the biggest priority, and when you see how many people cheer for it and it's like, are you like, this is what was on your minds the whole time? Like, it wasn't just inflation and eggs. It was like gender and trans people, because that's what's affecting everyone's day-to-day life.
Yeah. When most people don't even like realize like if there are trans people in their lives.
Yeah. It's like, you guys don't understand. You are watching conservative propaganda that will, emphasize the loudest, the most like, minority of the trans community, like to use it to make fun of and laugh at. But that's how they picture like every trans person being, essentially. And so they're like, we can always tell, or they just like create hate off of videos like that where, they're emphasizing maybe someone's having a reaction to something and, liberal tears, right? Leftist tears, and they react to those videos, and maybe it's like a trans person reacting to what just happened or whatever. So basically, the conservative base is in an echo chamber, and they say that we are, but all they're seeing about trans people is what their media is telling them. So they have no outside perspective of what it's actually like to know a trans person. They wouldn't know if someone was trans if they were out there in public with someone. They always say that they can tell, and they will. I'm like, I know that's not fucking true for a fact, because I go to a gym with a bunch of Trumpies, and if they knew I was trans, they wouldn't be coming up to me and asking me how I got my traps, like, plain and simple.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah. And it's hurtful because it feels like, oh cool, America hates us. Okay. What do we do?
And well, that just makes it all feel so much more unsafe. Like, it just emboldens folks to take action or to say shit or to, I don't know. It just puts real uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what his goal is, right? Is to make everybody uncomfortable, to like bully them out, right?
Yeah. And basically the bullies are celebrating that they can be assholes again. And it's just like, that's what matters to you guys. It's like, you realize it was never illegal to have a different opinion, right? Like, you were always allowed to be an asshole. You just had to pay consequences. You're just glad it's more socially acceptable to be an asshole. Congratulations.
So crazy. But have you noticed effect of, like, I don't know, I've been in this weird mood all week, and it's like I'm exhausted but sleeping, so I don't know. Have you noticed effects in your life? Because I feel like that is like the big thing right now. That's what I've noticed with clients, is everybody getting in their head.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's the uncertainty of it, and it's taking up energy and headspace of wondering how it's going to affect us in the long run. What else are they going to do? I mean, if you've read through this whole article or read through the whole executive order, it's just, you read it and it's not just this logical written order. It's very like, like fuck you trans people, you know, like, and so I think the thing, it's not even just about whatever happens in government. It's also knowing that there's a lot of people that support that. And I've seen it on the internet, whether someone put something out on X or Twitter or whatever, basically being like, ha, we won, you guys lose, and we're taking XYZ away and you're never getting it back. And it's, first of all, like, we're on the same fucking team, bro. We're all Americans. There's no winning and losing. If you lose, we lose, motherfucker. Like, we don't want you to lose because we don't want to come down with you. It doesn't work that way. So whatever karma you have in the store, hopefully it's outside of what can happen to all of us, because I don't want that on me because I didn't fucking do this.
Yeah. But yeah. I feel like it's just really hard right now to kind of get after your goals. I feel like it's hard to stay focused. You're like kind of wanting to comfort yourself in whatever way. So I think we were going to talk about stress management and how that can play, and how these times can create a big need for managing your stress.
Yeah. Which is important. And it's hard when you're distracted, because I feel like at the same time you like want to check out, but there's so much going on. You need to like stay informed with things and like know what's happening. But also, I don't know about you, but my brain is like searching for certainty. So I do that sometimes by like looking at the news and seeing like, you know, like we're trying to figure out what this means for us and taking proactive steps of like, you know, I had the conversation with Des. Okay, here's what we need to do to change my birth certificate. Let's get on that ASAP. And then, you know, do the other routes of getting the real ID taken care of. Like, because if I don't get the real ID with the right, you know, sex on it, I can't even travel within the US without outing myself every time. And I think what they don't realize is actually a matter of safety for trans people too, because it just looks fucking weird if I have female on my ID. I'm going to get stopped more often for that than if it just says male. So you're using more resources. We're going through TSA or some shit, and they're like, is this your real ID? Because it says female and you have a fucking beard, you know, instead of just waving you on because you look like your ID, whatever. I don't know. But sorry, stress me.
No, but like, well, to kind of just go off of what you're saying, I agree completely, because I just did the Real ID 2 weeks ago, and like it's terrible because you have to come out every time you go. Because like I had to, for the Real ID, you have to download all the stupid paperwork, and I was like, and here's this, and then I have to show a court order to show why my birth certificate has a different. And it's just like, oh my God, this is so awkward to do in the middle of a fucking BMV in Appalachia. Like, come on. This is not fun. Like,
No.
Maddie and I luckily went together, and we went and got there like right when they opened. So there wasn't anybody there. It was just like the workers, but it's like, that is so scary to do. Because it's not a private conversation. You're in the middle of the room with everybody. So like, so awkward.
Yeah. I remember getting my name and gender marker changed on my driver's license. I went from, you know, had my paperwork, went to Social Security first. Then I went over to DMV and then my bank. But when I went to, like, I was able to change it at my bank and Social Security. I came to the DMV, had like court order, had my Social Security papers, all that. I get to the window. She tells me I need a doctor's note. And I was like, what? She's like, trust me, I've done this for Chaz Bono. And I'm like, fuck no, you didn't. Like, we are in Northern California. Like, but but also I still swear to you that the doctor's note was not required. Like, how much more? Like, why? Why would I need a doctor's note? I have my social security has already been changed. I have my court orders, gender marker, and name has already been changed. Why do I need a fucking doctor's note?
Especially because you have to have the doctor's note to get the court
Yes,
thing. Like,
exactly. Yeah, I'm like, this bitch, like she is fucking with me. So I had to rush over to my doctor's office. One, because it was closing, but two, my doctor was leaving the practice. And so the person who was actually running overlooking my care wasn't even, I think I had to end up getting a signature from another doctor that was like willing to sign it for me. And that did it. And I had to go back, but just like I feel like that was not real. And it was just another example of the way that people can fuck with you. And now it's like legal. So, but yeah, it's like stress management. Number one, take action, change your documents ASAP.
yes. Yes. And my stupid middle name is now going to be wrong on my real ID because I haven't got the new birth certificate. So I got the court order, but I didn't get the new copy of the birth certificate. She's like, well, I need that or I won't change it. And I'm like, well, I don't have time to do that. So I guess we'll just have my old name on the real ID. I'm like, why? So annoying.
That sucks.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Maybe you can change it in another 4 years. You know what sucks though? Trump has enough fucking kids to last us a fucking lifetime of Trump presidencies. And they're going to follow in his footsteps like we're the fucking, the royalty of America, Like
that,
he's going to inherit the throne.
or he'll just be like, nope, presidents can rule for longer now.
Yeah, until he dies. And then we've got, Trump Jr. taking over, which is probably worse because they're always worse because they're like little evil bitches because they have daddy issues because he was like probably mean to them. And then they're like, cool, I'm in power. So, yeah. And Barron is a giant, by the way. Yeah.
What?
And Barron Trump is a giant, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I did like Melania's hat that prevented him from...
Oh, my God. I would love it if she it was like an electrical fence around the rim too. Like just like totally keep them out.
Please back off.
I had never seen her smile so big as she did when she was dancing with that like Marine. I just saw a clip of it. I think it was like the ball thing. She was dancing with some Marine and then Trump was dancing with some other female soldier, which I feel sorry for her, but she's probably into it. The guy, like, I saw, Melania smile the biggest I've ever seen her smile. Just felt like, damn, finally someone who's like young.
Yeah. I think one of the most heartbreaking things about the inauguration though was that Snoop Dogg participated. I didn't know that Snoop Dogg was a MAGA guy, and he was all up in my playlists. In my workout playlist and stuff, so I had to go through and remove them all because I refused to support. So
yeah,
such a big hit. I love Snoop Dogg.
Oh shit. I was most upset about Carrie Underwood. I had to take her songs off my playlist. I'm just kidding. I don't listen to her. I was like, oh, okay. I like gave 0 fucks about that. I was not disappointed. I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I did laugh that the technical difficulty. Did you see that part?
I didn't see.
She was singing the national anthem and the music wouldn't come on, and so there was just like 2 minutes of silence. And then she's like, I can just sing it. She's like, you guys know it, sing it with me. And then it was just probably not the way she imagined singing at a presidential inauguration to go, especially they're inside. And it was just, it was like it was like Temu inauguration, Oh
my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Anyways. So,
all right. Well, let's get into these tips for stress.
Stress, yes. Stress less.
Stress less. So, I think for me, what helps my stress the most, and this is probably, the autism, is staying in routine. So
Hey,
it when you are really stressed out, the only thing that you feel kind of in control of is like your routines and your day. And I think focusing on staying in that, no matter how much you want to kind of just get out of it, like it's really easy to be like, well, I'll just sleep in and figure out the gym later. But that never goes well. It's just going to end up adding more stress. But really having that structure to lean on can really lower your stress levels, in my opinion.
no, I agree.
Reduce that decision fatigue.
Yeah.
What's one of your other favorites?
Um, I mean, I guess I would say uh, more on the lines of like, well, on the mental health care side of things, like therapy, obviously, and journaling, getting your thoughts out there, because you're gonna have a lot of mixed feelings. So in order to process those things, sometimes you just got to get it out, or else if you hold it in, it just never goes well. So I would say, journal, focus on getting all those feelings and thoughts out, process them. It can help you create action steps. It can just help you feel lighter in general. That on top of like connecting with other people, community, that's going to be one.
Yeah, I think community, especially with in this particular case, like when you're having stress because of this shit show of an administration, I think leaning on community is going to be even more important because those are the people who understand you and kind of have experience in whatever you're going through. So absolutely,
Yeah.
leaning into that
And
community.
to touch on that, I also just wanted to say, like, I think we have a tendency sometimes, emotions are really high right now. People are really reactionary. When we feel a little bit like we can't control things, we start to kind of police each other. And I think it's important to be kind to everybody. Like, we're all going through the same shit. We're all feeling reactive and lost and anxious. So in these moments, like, try to be kind to others in your community as well. I know it's easy to like maybe get upset or feel like you need to be able to feel in control of something and not like how someone reacts or how someone, deals with something. And, you just got to like focus on yourself and focus on like everyone's going to process this in different ways. We're all individuals. Yeah, we're a community, but everyone's allowed to have their ways of coping with this. So just be kind. Let's not start any like infighting because we need each other. And that's why you should journal. Get it all out,
Yeah, absolutely. I think also making sure that you are doing your best to kind of, I guess this kind of goes into the more of the routine, but to understand that when you're using something as a coping strategy, whether it's getting out of hand or not. So sometimes people will be going easy on themselves because this is a hard time, but just remember that you also want to actually care for yourself, not just do what feels good. And that is a really hard line to balance. So just kind of being aware of that and how that can heighten your stress as well.
Very true. Yeah. It's like give yourself grace, but have a limit. Like
Have a limit. At least set boundaries, I would say, is important to set boundaries with yourself and the activities you're using to cope. So don't go out and get pissed drunk hammered every night because you're having a rough time. That's going to end up making it worse. So
yeah.
things to be aware of.
Yeah, for sure.
What else? Reframing, always very important. Um, and remembering that we don't have exactly what's going to happen, that this is just talk. It's supposed to scare you. It's supposed to make you uncomfortable. There's nothing in effect yet. So
Yeah.
keeping that in top of mind.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's hard to say like don't panic, but like don't.
But seriously,
Don't panic, but like don't. I know it's hard, but don't. Um, but yeah, I think limiting exposures to triggers, like what gets you going and what riles you up. Sometimes a healthy amount of that, and it's okay. Um, to weigh in on things, or sometimes you can't avoid it, and it's just in your face. But yeah, find a way to cope with those triggers. You can't always avoid it because it is important to stay informed. But set boundaries there too. Like how much time you're spending on social media. If you feel like it's only affecting you negatively, take a break, go outside, go in nature, spend time with people like in your vicinity. And it's crazy how quickly, problems seem to get smaller when you're not just like connected to everybody's opinion. It's like coming in through the internet. It's like, whoa, we were not built for that. We didn't evolve to like know the world's opinions. We were built to just like talk to our tribe, and like that's all that matters. So
and
like
frolic.
go back. Yeah. Go back to your tribe and frolic through the fields. That'll cheer you up.
No, well, an important part of this is to take breaks, and you might need a couple extra breaks when the stress levels are astronomical. So remember to do things that fill your cup, not just drain you all the time.
Yeah. Fill your cup, but not alcohol. Take breaks. Take mushrooms. That too. Like take
Or
a few
are
hits.
you?
Your bait. Yeah. Know when it's okay to like check out, and when it's more destructive. That's a hard line sometimes, but that's where therapy can help you.
Absolutely. Just trying to see if I had anything else. Caffeine, sometimes be careful with that. If you're drinking more and more caffeine, that's not going to help your stress. And make sure you're getting some sleep.
Yeah, that is actually a huge one. Sleep is very important. Or if you do want to keep up with caffeine, or even if you just supplement, like L-theanine is a good one to supplement with, because it kind of like evens out the caffeine, so you're not like jittery anxious. So little hack there. But ultimately, yeah, don't just drown yourself in anxiety liquid.
Yeah. And just remember that if you're missing sleep, that's going to affect your stress levels and your hunger levels. Sleep does help regulate a lot of that. So just remember that. Setting a consistent bedtime, always important. Just don't stay up doom scrolling all day.
Yeah. No, that's definitely the worst way to handle it. Yeah. And also, outside of like news and social media, be careful of what else you're consuming. I sent you that Netflix series that is coming out, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, let's find another thing to be paranoid about. It's too real.
Right. It's for real.
I'll probably watch it anyways because I'm just stupid like that. But
what was the title of it? Do you remember, for our listeners?
Let me check. I was just like, oh my God. A lot of the comments too were like, this is too realistic. Let's see. I'm going to hopefully. 0 Day.
0 Day. Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah. 0 Day on Netflix. Robert De Niro and who else is in it? I don't know, but
I'm not good with actor names.
yeah, that's all I know. But yeah, essentially, it's like a crazy plot of your biggest fears, and the fact that it could happen is you might not want to watch it. But yeah.
Yeah, terrifying, more scary shit because the world isn't scary.
Right. I would say stick to comedies, something light when you need it. Or I mean, I'm a sucker for documentaries, but sometimes that could be problematic depending on what you're watching. If it's like true crime, it's kind of dark. Or if it's just documentaries about government secrets and conspiracy theories, you might drive yourself insane. So maybe
I've been
maybe avoid
watching
that.
hockey, only hockey.
I mean,
Nothing bad happens, and if they do, they go to the penalty box.
yeah. Well, it's something like the most violent sport to watch, just to, you know, kind of, oh yeah, I kind of hit that guy. So
Smash into him.
yeah.
Oh gosh. Do you have any final tips about stress and trying to not
freak the fuck out? I think it just comes down to awareness of your triggers, knowing when you need to take a break, setting boundaries, staying present in your like actual physical space. Apply that whole like
That's a good
grounding rule of it's like point out 5 things you see, 5 colors, 5 things you can feel, and then it's like 3 things you can hear and 2 things you can taste or some shit. I don't know. Something like that where it's just like if you're feeling yeah. Sometimes that one's not as pleasant depending. But yeah, so stay grounded, stay present, especially in those times where you're feeling very uncertain, because your brain will take that and run with it. Imagination can go wild. Imagination just isn't as fun as adults. It just goes real dark. Whereas kids are like, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. And I'm like, I want to be alive. Sometimes.
I want to not work for a second.
I want to just do nothing. That would be it. That's where we put our imaginations as adults, like just doing nothing again. Being bored as kids, I would like to go back to that, you know.
Absolutely.
Playing Super Nintendo.
All right. Well, I got a power talk for you. You ready?
Ready.
All right. So the quote is from James N. Watkins, and it is, "A river cuts through rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence." So I think we are in for a long 4 years, but I wanted to remind folks that the importance is just pushing through and just not giving up, because it's not going to feel good all the time. It's not going to feel like we're winning much, but if we just keep at it, we'll get through.
Yeah. And to that point, I think the biggest act of rebellion that we could do in this moment is just keep trying to live our best lives. It shouldn't change like the trajectory of what goals we're going after, or career-wise, fitness-wise, whatever, because ultimately they hate to see us just living our lives. And so even that's like middle finger. You can't do anything. So, you know. So.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, until next time, talk to y'all later.
Peace out.